I was loading groceries into my trunk when I heard the familiar sound of my brother's SUV pulling into my driveway. Again. Third time this week, and it was only Wednesday. I didn't turn around, just kept arranging the paper bags with careful precision, buying myself a few seconds to compose my face into something neutral. "Margaret, let me help you with those." My sister-in-law Linda's voice had that particular brightness to it, the one she used when she wanted something. I'd learned to recognize it over the past 6 months, ever since my divorce became final and my brother's family had somehow decided that renting the apartment above my garage meant they had unlimited access to my entire life. "I've got it, thanks." I closed the trunk and finally turned to face her. She was already halfway across my lawn, my nephew Tyler trailing behind her with his phone out, probably live streaming his boring suburban existence to whoever cared. "Oh, don't be silly. We're family." Linda reached for one of the bags I was carrying. I shifted it away from her grasp. "Family that pays rent," I said, keeping my voice pleasant. "How's the upstairs working out for you all?" Her smile tightened just a fraction. "Wonderful. Though Tyler was saying just this morning how nice it would be to have the whole house someday. Weren't you, honey?" Tyler looked up from his phone, and I saw my brother's eyes in his face, but none of my brother's early kindness. "Yeah, Aunt Margaret. This place is huge for just one person, and you don't even have kids to leave it to or anything." There it was, not even subtle anymore. I'd heard variations of this theme for weeks now. Little comments about my childless state, questions about my will, observations about how close we all were as a family. Linda had even brought me a casserole last week and spent the entire visit asking whether I'd thought about what would happen to my assets when I was gone. I was 50, not 90, and my assets were none of her damn business. "The house is exactly the right size for me," I said. I walked past them toward my front door. They followed naturally. They always followed. "Mom just worries about you being alone," Linda continued. She had this way of bringing my mother into every conversation, as if invoking her somehow made Linda's nosiness legitimate. "We all do. It's not healthy, Margaret. A woman your age, divorced, no children. You should be thinking about your legacy." I unlocked my door and stepped inside. My legacy is my own concern. "But Tyler is your only nephew." Linda was fully inside my house now, uninvited, making herself comfortable in my living room like she owned it. "And he's such a good boy. He'd take care of you in your old age, wouldn't you, sweetheart?" Tyler had already opened my refrigerator and was examining its contents. "Yeah, totally. I'd make sure you got into a nice nursing home and everything." How generous. I set my groceries on the counter and took a slow breath. "I don't need anyone to take care of me. I have my own plans." "Plans change," Linda said. She picked up a framed photo from my mantel, one of me and my ex-husband from happier times. "I mean, you thought you'd be married forever, right? Life is unpredictable. That's why family is so important. Blood family." The implied dig at my failed marriage landed exactly where she'd aimed it. I'd given her too much power by reacting to these comments before, by defending myself, by explaining. I wouldn't make that mistake again. "Put that down, please." Linda's eyes widened in mock innocence. "I was just looking. My goodness, you're touchy today." "It's my house, my things, my life." I took the frame from her hands and set it back on the mantel. "Was there something specific you needed, or are you just here to inventory my possessions again?" "Margaret." She pressed a hand to her chest like I'd wounded her. "I'm just trying to have a relationship with you. We're living right above you now. We're going to be close whether you like it or not." That was the problem, wasn't it? They'd manufactured this closeness, moved into my space, and now acted like my boundaries were somehow offensive to them. My phone rang. Unknown number. I answered it anyway, grateful for the interruption. "Is this Margaret Chen?" A man's voice, irritated. "Speaking." "This is Robert Hendricks from Oak Street. Your car is blocking my driveway and I need you to move it immediately. I've been waiting 20 minutes. And I have an appointment. I looked at my keys on the counter, then walked to my window. My car was visible in the garage where I'd left it this morning. Sir, I think there's been a mistake. My car is in my garage. Lady, I'm looking at it right now. Silver Toyota Camry, your phone number taped to the windshield. Move it or I'm calling the police. Something cold settled in my stomach. What's the license plate number? He rattled it off. My brother's car. My brother's car with my phone number on it. I'll handle it, I said, and hung up. Linda was watching me with poorly concealed satisfaction. Tyler had found my expensive aged cheese and was cutting chunks off it with his dirty pocket knife. Everything okay? Linda asked sweetly. Where's David? I kept my voice level. Your brother? He's at work, I assume. Why? Because his car is apparently parked illegally on Oak Street with my phone number on it, and I'm getting harassing calls about it. Oh. Linda examined her nails. He might have mentioned something about parking issues. He probably put your number down because he knew you'd handle it better than he would. You're so good at dealing with confrontation. The audacity of it. The sheer breathtaking audacity. My brother had created a problem, attached my name to it, and left me to deal with the consequences. And Linda thought this was normal. Thought this was something I should just accept because we were family. Tell David to move his car immediately or I'll have it towed. Margaret, don't be dramatic. Just go down there and smooth things over. Use that charm of yours. I looked at her, really looked at her, saw the calculation behind her friendly mask. This wasn't just about the car. This was a test. They were seeing how far they could push, how much I'd tolerate, how much of myself I'd sacrifice to keep the peace. I picked up my phone and dialed 911. What are you doing? Linda's voice pitched higher. Reporting a vehicle illegally parked and blocking a driveway. I waited for the dispatcher to answer. No, I'm not the owner. Someone falsely used my contact information. Linda snatched at my phone. I stepped away, continued giving the dispatcher the information. Behind me, I heard Tyler say, Mom, is Aunt Margaret seriously calling the cops on Uncle David? Yes, I was. When I hung up, Linda was staring at me like I'd grown a second head. You just got your own brother in trouble with the police. No, my brother got himself in trouble. I just declined to cover for him. This is what I'm talking about. Linda's facade cracked completely. This cold, bitter attitude. Your mother is right. The divorce changed you. You're not the sweet Margaret we used to know. The sweet Margaret you used to know let people walk all over her. I started unpacking my groceries, making it clear this conversation was over. That Margaret is gone. You'll regret this. Linda grabbed Tyler's arm and pulled him toward the door. When you're old and alone and need family, you'll remember this moment. I continued putting away my organic vegetables and expensive wine. I didn't respond. Didn't need to. The best response was living my life exactly as I pleased. They left. I heard them stomping up the stairs to the garage apartment, heard their muffled arguing through my ceiling. My phone rang again. David this time. You got my car ticketed? You used my phone number without permission, David. You created a problem and attached my name to it. What did you think would happen? I thought my sister would help me out. Jesus, Margaret, it's just a parking ticket. It's a pattern, David. Your wife has been in my house multiple times without permission. Your son has been eating my food without asking. You've been treating my property like it's community property, and now you're using my identity to avoid consequences. Where does it end? You're being paranoid. Am I? Linda spent an hour last week asking about my estate planning. Tyler told me my house would be his someday. Your wife just said I'd regret not going along with whatever you all want when I need family. What exactly is happening here, David? Silence on the other end. Then, Linda just worries about you. Linda worries about her inheritance. There's a difference. You're our only family, Meg. Mom's getting older. We need to stick together. Sticking together doesn't mean I surrender my autonomy. I sat down at my kitchen table, suddenly tired. I love you, David. You're my brother. But I'm not a resource for you to exploit. I'm not a backup plan. I'm not a retirement fund. I'm a person with boundaries, and you all keep crossing them. Maybe your boundaries are unreasonable. I hung up. Not angry, just done. Some conversations didn't have good endings because some people would never understand. I poured myself a glass of the wine Linda had eyed covetously earlier, put on some music, and enjoyed my beautiful, quiet, child-free home. 2 days later, I came home early from a dentist appointment and found my mother's car in my driveway. Not unusual, except I hadn't invited her over. I unlocked my front door and stopped dead. My mother, David, Linda, and Tyler were all in my living room. On my coffee table sat the remains of my expensive charcuterie board, the one I'd been saving for my book club next week. The prosciutto I'd special ordered, the aged manchego, the fig preserves that cost $22 a jar. They'd opened a bottle of my good wine, the one from my trip to Sonoma. They all looked up when I walked in, not guilty, not apologetic, annoyed at the interruption. "Margaret, you're home early." My mother dabbed her mouth with one of my linen napkins. "Linda was just telling us about the incident with David's car." "Honestly, sweetheart, calling the police was excessive." I set my purse down very carefully. "How did you get in?" "I have a key, dear, for emergencies." "And my expensive food and wine constitutes an emergency." Linda laughed, that tinkling fake laugh of hers. "We're family, Margaret. Stop being so uptight about everything. This is what families do. They share." Tyler was sprawled on my custom sofa with his shoes on, scrolling through his phone. "Yeah, Aunt Margaret, chill out. It's not like you can take it with you." That phrase again. It's not like you can take it with you. As if my inevitable death meant they had some claim to my life now. "Get out!" My mother blinked. "What?" "All of you. Get out of my house right now." "Margaret, don't be ridiculous." David stood up, using his older brother voice, the one that used to work when we were children. "Mom wanted to see you, and Linda thought we could all have a nice family gathering. In my house. With my food, without my permission. For the 3rd time this month." I walked to the door and opened it wide. "Out." "You can't kick Mom out." David's face reddened. "She's your mother. She's also someone who just broke into my house and helped herself to my property. So yes, I can." Linda stood up, smoothing her dress. "This is exactly what I was saying, Mum. She's become so selfish since the divorce. No sense of family whatsoever." "I have a perfect sense of family," I said. My voice was steady, calm, cold. "That's why I know the difference between family and parasites." "How dare you?" Linda's mask shattered completely. "We've been nothing but kind to you. Checking on you, including you, making sure you're not alone in this big house. Cataloguing my assets and planning how to claim them. Don't pretend this is about kindness, Linda. This is about money, my house, my things. You've been circling like vultures since the divorce papers were signed." "That's not true." But her face told a different story. "Your mother is concerned about your future. We all are. You're not getting any younger, Margaret. And you have no children, no husband, no real plan for your old age. Is it so wrong that we want to help?" "Help yourselves, you mean?" I looked at each of them in turn. My mother couldn't meet my eyes. David was still red-faced and indignant. Tyler was finally paying attention, watching this like it was entertainment. "I don't need your help. I need you to respect my boundaries." "Boundaries!" Linda spat the word. "That's all you talk about. Boundaries, privacy, personal space. What about duty? What about obligation? What about taking care of family?" "I am taking care of family myself. I'm taking care of myself." "By pushing everyone away." My mother finally spoke, her voice wobbling. "Sweetheart, you're so angry all the time now. So defensive. We're just trying to love you." "This isn't love, Mom." "Love doesn't break into someone's house. Love doesn't help itself to their belongings. Love doesn't constantly hint about inheritance and death and loneliness. Love respects boundaries." "You know what your problem is?" David stepped closer, trying to loom over me. "You think you're better than us now. Got your fancy house, your fancy job, your fancy wine. But you're just a bitter divorced woman who's going to die alone, because she pushed away everyone who cared about her. The words should have hurt. Probably would have hurt 6 months ago when I was still raw from the divorce and uncertain about my new life. But now I saw them for what they were: manipulation. Weapons designed to make me compliant. If caring about me means violating my privacy and plotting how to claim my assets, then I'll happily die alone. I kept the door open. You have 2 minutes to leave, or I'm calling the police. You wouldn't. Linda's eyes narrowed. I pulled out my phone. Margaret, please. My mother stood, wringing her hands. Don't do this. Don't tear the family apart over material things. I'm not tearing anything apart. I'm establishing boundaries. If the family can't survive me having boundaries, then it wasn't much of a family to begin with. They left. Eventually. With a lot of dramatic sighs and wounded looks and whispered comments clearly meant for me to overhear. Linda made sure to tell Tyler, loudly, that some people just didn't understand what family meant. When they were gone, I locked the door, took back my emergency key from my mother's ring while she protested, and surveyed the damage. They'd eaten about $200 worth of food and wine. They'd left crumbs ground into my carpet. They'd moved my furniture. I called a locksmith, had all my locks changed within 2 hours. Then I called a security company and had cameras installed. Doorbell camera, driveway camera, cameras covering all entrances. I should have done it weeks ago. That night, Linda knocked on my door. I watched her on my new doorbell camera, didn't answer. She knocked again, harder. I stayed silent. She started yelling through the door about how I was being unreasonable, how families worked through their problems, how I was making a terrible mistake. I poured another glass of wine and turned up my music. The harassment escalated. Linda told the neighbors I was having a mental breakdown. She posted on social media about how hard it was to watch a family member self-destruct. She painted herself as the concerned sister-in-law, me as the unstable divorcee who needed help whether I wanted it or not. But I had cameras now. Evidence. Time-stamped videos of Linda trying my locks at 2 in the morning. David attempting to jimmy open my garage window. My mother standing on my porch giving interviews about my mental state to her church friends. I compiled it all, made copies, sent it to my lawyer. The next violation, I was ready. I was working from home when I saw motion on my driveway camera. Tyler skateboarding down my driveway. Nothing unusual except he veered off and crashed directly into my garden sculpture. The expensive one. The abstract bronze piece I'd commissioned from a local artist. It cracked. Not catastrophically, but noticeably. Damaged. Tyler looked directly at my camera and smirked. I was out the door in seconds. What the hell was that? He shrugged, still on his skateboard. Accident? Lost control. You looked right at the camera before you hit it. Prove it. His smile was David's smile, Linda's calculation. It's just a weird statue anyway, who cares? I care. It's my property and you just deliberately damaged it. Accident, he repeated. Tell you what, though. If you were nicer to us, maybe I'd be more careful. Maybe if you weren't trying to cut us out of your life, I wouldn't be so clumsy around your stuff. There it was. The threat wasn't even subtle anymore. Play nice, give us what we want, or we'll destroy what you have. I went back inside and called my lawyer, then the police, then my insurance company. Tyler was still skateboarding in my driveway when the police arrived. His smirk vanished when he saw the squad car. The officer listened to my statement, viewed my security footage, examined the damage. Tyler tried his accident story. The officer replayed the video showing clearly how Tyler had aimed himself at the sculpture, how he'd looked at the camera, how he'd smiled afterward. Son, this looks intentional to me. It was an accident, Tyler's voice cracked. I'm just a kid. She's trying to get me in trouble because she hates my family. Mom, do you want to press charges? I looked at Tyler. Saw him realize that actions had consequences. Saw him understand that I wasn't going to protect him anymore, wasn't going to smooth things over, wasn't going to be the sweet aunt who let things slide. Yes. Linda came running out of the garage apartment, screaming about how I was attacking her child, how I was a monster, how she was going to sue me for harassment. The officer calmly explained that I had every right to press charges for property destruction, that the video evidence was clear, that Tyler would have to answer for his actions. David showed up, tried his intimidation routine. The officer was unimpressed. My mother called, crying, begging me to drop it. I hung up. The sculpture had cost $4,000. The artist was retired. It couldn't be repaired or replaced. Tyler would have to pay restitution. Linda and David would have to cover it since he was a minor. $4,000 they'd planned to inherit someday, now gone because their son had tried to bully me into submission. The eviction notice went out 3 days later, 30 days to vacate the garage apartment. My lawyer had reviewed the lease. They'd violated multiple clauses: unauthorized use of my property, harassment, property damage. I had grounds. Linda showed up at my door with a lawyer of her own. A cheap one who tried to argue that I couldn't evict family, that I had an obligation to provide housing, that their lease was ironclad. My lawyer was better. Showed the security footage, the police reports, the documentation of every violation. Linda's lawyer advised her to leave quietly. They didn't go quietly. They went with threats and tears and Facebook posts about my cruelty. My mother called me crying every day. David showed up at my work. Tyler spray-painted obscenities on my fence. More police reports, more documentation, more consequences. The day they moved out, Linda stood in my driveway and screamed at me for 20 minutes about how I'd regret this, about how karma would get me, about how I'd die alone and unmourned, and it would serve me right. I stood in my doorway and listened. Let her scream herself hoarse. Let the neighbors watch and judge. Let her show everyone exactly who she was. When she finally ran out of steam, I said quietly, "Are you finished?" She stared at me, mascara running, face blotchy. "You're going to be so sorry." "No," I said. "I'm really not." They left. I had the locks changed again anyway, had the security system upgraded, planted new roses where Tyler's skateboard had torn up my garden. My mother didn't speak to me for 2 months. Then she called, didn't apologize, but asked carefully if we could have coffee. I agreed. Set clear boundaries about what we would and wouldn't discuss. She didn't like it, but she followed the rules. David sent an email, a half-hearted sorry you felt that way non-apology. I didn't respond. Some relationships aren't worth salvaging. Linda posted about me online for months. I didn't engage. Eventually, people lost interest. Her narrative fell apart when mutual friends asked questions and did the math, and realized her story didn't add up. A year later, I sold the house, got an excellent price, bought a beautiful condo in a high-rise with excellent security and a concierge who doesn't let anyone up without permission. I travel now, take cooking classes, date occasionally, live exactly the life I want. My mother asks sometimes about my will, delicately, like she's afraid of the answer. I tell her I've made arrangements. Don't elaborate. She doesn't push. The truth is, I've left everything to charity. Environmental conservation, women's shelters, literacy programs, organizations that will use my money to help people who need it, not people who feel entitled to it. I'm not bitter about it. Not angry. I'm free. I was having coffee on my balcony last week watching the sunrise when my phone buzzed. A text from Linda. First contact in over a year. Tyler starts college next year. Tuition is expensive. I thought since you never had kids of your own, you might want to contribute to your nephew's education. I deleted it, blocked the number, took another sip of my excellent coffee and watched the sun turn the city gold. I'm 53 now. Healthy, happy, secure. I have friends who respect my boundaries. I have a life that belongs entirely to me. I have peace. Some people think that's selfish, that family should come first, that blood should matter more than boundaries, that I should have sacrificed my dignity and autonomy to keep the peace. Those people are welcome to their opinions. I'm welcome to ignore them. I don't have children. I don't have a traditional family structure. I don't have people circling my life like sharks, waiting for me to die so they can claim what's mine. What I have is mine. My home, my money, my choices, my life. And I've never been happier. Tyler sends friend requests sometimes on social media. I don't accept them. David sends Christmas cards with pictures of his family, like nothing ever happened. I recycle them. Linda apparently tells people I had a breakdown and cut everyone off. I let her talk. The truth is simpler and less dramatic. I just learned the difference between family and people who wanted to use me. I learned that love without respect isn't love at all. I learned that sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself is close the door on people who refuse to honor your boundaries. I thought about Linda's text for days afterward, though, not because I felt guilty or regretted my choices, but because I was trying to imagine the mind that could send that message. The audacity of asking for college money after everything that happened. The assumption that I would still be a resource to exploit, that enough time had passed for me to forget. That blood relation trumped all the damage they'd done. Some people never learn. They just keep pushing, keep taking, keep assuming the world owes them something. I learned differently. I learned that the world doesn't owe me anything, but that I don't owe it my dignity either. I learned that peace is worth protecting, even when people call you cold for defending it. I learned that sometimes the most radical thing a woman can do is put herself first. My life is smaller now in some ways, fewer people in it, quieter holidays, no family drama, no surprise visits, no one treating my home like their personal storage unit or retirement plan. It's also bigger. Bigger in the ways that matter, more honest, more mine. I don't regret calling the police. I don't regret the eviction. I don't regret any of it. The only thing I regret is not doing it sooner. All those years of trying to be sweet, trying to keep peace, trying to make everyone happy except myself. What a waste of time. I'm done wasting time. If that makes me cold, bitter, selfish, or any of the other things Linda posted about me online, so be it. I'll take cold over exploited any day. I'll choose bitter over bullied. I'll embrace selfish if the alternative is letting people consume my life like it's their birthright. My nephew thought my house would be his someday. My sister-in-law thought she could manipulate me into making it so. My brother thought blood meant I'd tolerate anything. My mother thought family meant sacrificing boundaries. They were all wrong. My house was mine. My life is mine. My future is mine. And that's exactly how it's going to stay.